Have you ever wondered about good debt versus bad debt? Have you ever wondered how to make money with debt, or what is an asset? What is a liability? Stay tuned because we're going to jump right into it. It's Andrew with the Above Average Investor podcast. Today, we're talking about good debt versus bad debt. We're talking about how you can make money using good debt. So first up, what is debt? And it is quite simple. It's just borrowing money to buy something today and then paying for it in the future, which is going to be your payments, just like a credit card payment or a mortgage. A couple examples that are common to everyone is just that. It's your credit card. It's going shopping today and paying for it later. And you could either have the savings and pay off your credit card immediately, or you can pay it off your next paycheck or over coming months. So sometimes you get a big medical bill and you're going to pay that off over the following months. Or you're going to buy a house today and then you're going to pay for it for the next 30 years with mortgage payments. Those are examples of debt, both ways of bad debt that they cost you money. So a couple examples of good debt are buying something, typically an asset, that then pays you money. So a common example is a rental property. You buy the house today, it's got a mortgage that you will pay, and then the rental income actually pays the mortgage plus the maintenance plus a little bit of profit. So that's an example of good debt. It really is quite simple. So good debt is something that puts money into your pocket. Bad debt takes money out of your pocket. So it's pretty controversial whether a house is good debt versus bad debt, but a owner-occupied house, commonly you have to pay for the mortgage, and that takes money out of your pocket. So I normally put that in the bad debt category. However, housing generally goes up over time, so you do get some appreciation, and long-term it can put money in your pocket. So I definitely see both sides of the fence there. And when you pay back debt, you typically pay an interest rate. So that's basically a fee for borrowing the money. So if I want to borrow money from somebody, I have to give them a profit or a loan payment or an interest payment, because they could keep the money themselves to do something else with. So I've got to kind of dangle a carrot, which is pretty reasonable. I don't just borrow all my money to everybody for free, just because I'm still trying to save myself. So that's what debt is. That's good debt versus bad debt. And that's what an asset or a liability is. Something that puts money in your pocket or takes money out. It really is that simple. So when you're making money on good debt on an asset, that's going to give you passive income. It's going to give you cash flow. It's going to give you return on investment, or ROI. All those are very similar. So you put money in and you get a little bit back every time. Think of it just like being a bank. You borrow money to the stock market, to the rental property world, and then you get a cut coming back to you, an interest payment coming back to you every month typically. So those are a few examples. And other common examples that most of us can resonate with of good debt is starting your own business. So if you want to be a wedding photographer, that's buying a laptop, a camera, and some software, and then you can use those assets to make you money. And on the opposite end, I've personally bought a laptop with my own money that wasn't an asset. It generated me $0 and it had 0 tax deductions. I am not really a big photography buff, but I could totally buy a camera and pay for it today with a digital camera. However, I'd rather buy a camera as an asset, as part of a business venture, to write it off from taxes and to make money from it. Another example is a laptop for a realtor and some nice clothing, professional attire, a car that you're going to use to give showings to potential home buyers. Another good example of good debt versus bad debt, of buying a laptop, clothes, a car, because we all need them, but realtors do as well, and they use them for business. So the government tells them that they can write that off. So that's awesome. Or if you're into physical fitness, maybe you want to buy some gym clothing or a weight set and you do some personal training on the side. That's another example. You could buy that as good debt and it could help you make more money, make more passive income that you're in control of. So now let's deep dive into a mortgage rental property example. So you used to be able to buy a mortgage at 4%. Now they're a little higher, 5-6%. The stock market returns on average around 10%, and real estate around 20-25%, and business investments typically 30% plus. The sky's no limit there. And so example is you borrow money for a rental property at 4% interest. We won't even talk about the tax breaks with that, but then the rental house is going to appreciate and you're going to get rental income of around 20-25%. So if you put that money in and you're paying 4%, but then you actually get 20% income, that 20 minus 4 is 16% difference. So you're making 16% on your money, which is going to grow every single year. That's compound interest. So that's just an example of how to use good debt with a rental property, that the assets then grow over time as well. So you're going to get that cash flow, that passive income coming back to you, but those assets are going to be worth more over time, whether it's you're buying stocks, whether it's you're buying business, laptop, photography equipment, if you're a photographer, or if you're buying rental property. And then once that the value doubles over time, you can do a refinance. You can take some of that equity out and buy more assets. So when a rental house, you put 20% down and the value of that house increases by 20%, you now have two 20% in equity. So you can take out one 20%, buy a second rental property. Now you have 20% equity in two houses. They both appreciate again 20 more percent. And now that those two, you can refinance that 40% equity in both into buying two more houses. And so that's the compound effect. That's the snowball effect of compound interest, is you're able to refinance at a fixed long-term interest rate like 4%, and then you're able to go buy something that appreciates or grows at 20% for real estate. Stock market, it would be about 10%, but that 10 is still significantly above a 6%, significantly above a 4% mortgage rate. So you're going to get that 6% difference in your passive income. So that's how wealth is made, through good debt and bad debt. And you can see how that can just snowball from one house to two houses to four houses to 8 houses to 16 houses. And none of that's dependent on how often you're showing up to your boss for work. It just, the freight train starts rolling and then it won't stop. So hopefully that gives you a good idea on good debt versus bad debt. If you have any examples of that you've done or you've wanted to do, drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear other above average investor stories. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to come out with videos at least once a week. So stay tuned to learn about how you too can become an above average investor. Thanks.